Hello and welcome to Euphoria. It's Max here and welcome to my Lego world, my little Lego city and my happy place. For those of you who are regular subscribers, I'm sorry it's been so long between videos. It's summertime over here and so we're busy with vacations, graduations and lots of other things. If you're new here, then welcome to the channel and please subscribe because I do expect to be producing more videos in the near future. So now on to this video, which is a continuation of my series on how to design and build a Lego modular building, a MOC or my own creation. In this case we're building a new building for my Lego city. So let's have a look. We're finally starting the build of this half modular corner building, which I'm calling the Corner Deli. This is my own design and I based the design on an idea inspired by this little building, which is the Corner Deli from Lego set 76311, Miles Morales versus the Spot. In the previous videos in this series we looked at how we started with the idea for this MOC after making the little deli building from that set. We put quite a lot of thought into deciding on a more definite concept for the MOC and spent some time visualizing some ideas and working out how we could make it into a modular building. So this will be a small city building with two little shops on the ground floor, with an apartment above the shops and then a roof terrace on the roof. We settled on a European style for the building that might allow us to have some interesting colours and features to make it into a building that will fit well in my Lego city. After working out the outline design on paper, we moved into designing on the computer so that we could develop the design in 3D using available Lego bricks and parts. We've already done all the design work and you can see that in the previous videos in this series. Even though it's not very large, we're going to create the impression that it's two narrow buildings with the deli in the ground floor of one, a small shop in the ground floor of the other, and an entrance to the small apartment on the floors above. There will be 4 sections or modules: the pavement and ground floor with the 2 shops, the first floor with the living space of the apartment, the second floor with the bedroom for the apartment, and the roof with a roof terrace or roof garden. I'm very happy with the design and I think we developed something that more or less aligns with the original concept of this MOC as a small European style city centre building with a bodega on the ground floor and apartment above. In the previous video, we looked at the procurement process and the progress we were making on getting all the parts we need to build this MOC. One of my viewers asked me how much it cost to buy all the parts needed to build this MOC. Now that's a slightly difficult question to answer because I already bought the set containing the little deli building and I am using some of the parts from that set for this build. I also have some of the parts from my own stock of parts, which I bought over time from a variety of sources, including from other sets, the LEGO pub wall, and from online sellers on Bricklink. Nevertheless, I can try to give some idea of the cost of the parts for this MOC. If you bought them all as new parts from Bricklink, you would likely pay around £185 for all the parts you need. But if you bought them as second-hand or used parts from Bricklink, you'd probably pay about £170. You can also buy almost all of the parts as new parts direct from LEGO. LEGO have improved their parts availability and pricing enormously in recent months. You could buy most of the parts for this MOC direct from them for about £170. Some of the printed parts that I've used in this design, mostly for the interior of the shop, are not available anymore from LEGO, but you could buy them from Bricklink for about £5, or you could just substitute your own parts. Obviously, I've used the stickers from the original set, so if you wanted to create the same look, it would be worth obtaining the sticker sheet or even buying the set. As I said before, I've obtained the parts for this MOC from a number of places, and some of them are used parts, so I've only spent about £106 on the parts that are specific to this MOC. But if you did want to go out and buy all the parts for this build, you might find £170 to be quite expensive compared with buying a complete new and full modular building set from LEGO. Now we have all the parts, the next thing to do is start preparations for the build. I like to collect all the parts needed for a build into these project trays, as that saves time in hunting round for the parts needed during the build itself. I also like to find a clear space in which to build the MOC, and if possible have a space that I can use for the duration of the build, rather than having to keep moving it or putting things away. Now for this MOC I'm not making instructions for myself, so I haven't used the instruction maker in Bricklink Studio to illustrate the build in simple building steps. That would be possible, but it takes a lot of time to do that, and I'd rather be getting on with the build. But I have broken the studio model down into sections and layers of bricks and organised the bricks into a suitable order in the model for building, so that I can clearly see the parts I need and the steps for each part of the build. This will help me see the parts when I'm building the model, and I could use this sequence to create instructions if I needed to. And of course I can always go back to the studio model if I'm not clear, and I can look at it from different angles if I need to. So doing all that work in the studio design program has definitely helped in designing the model and getting all the parts, and it should help me during the build as well. So now we can start the build itself. We'll start, as with most modular buildings, with a base plate. This is a half a modular base plate, which is 32 by 16 studs, and we're going to make this into a corner. So we'll start with the pavement or sidewalk that goes along the front and round the side of the base plate. So I'm using the same system for the sidewalks as the regular official modular buildings, with grey tiles representing the paving slabs and light grey tiles on the edge representing the curbstones. But I'm also using some of these tiles with a single stud so that I can place minifigs or other things on the pavement later. And I'm also including a couple of places to place the lampposts on the pavement or sidewalk. But I won't put these on for now, otherwise they'll just get in the way of constructing the main building. So by selecting the very lowest layer of bricks and tiles in the computer model, it's fairly easy to see how to lay out the foundations for the building. Here we're building the base layer or foundation that determines the footprint and therefore the size of the building. We're using plates where there will be doors and windows, and bricks for the external and internal walls, and we've also tiled the floor of the shop and the floor of the deli. The stairs will go up here, and obviously this is the place where the external refrigerator on the outside of the deli will go. And we've got the two connection points on the side here for connecting to another modular building, but because this is only a kind of half a corner, we've just got one connection point here that could connect to another modular building on this side. So now we can start to build up the walls of the shop and the deli. Now we can start building the deli. In the computer model, I've organised the build steps into layers, so it's possible to select those parts in a step and reveal them, and that makes it really easy to place those parts in position as if I was following instructions. And so we continue building up the walls and interior of the deli. I find it easier to build up as we go and before the walls get too high. Otherwise it just becomes really difficult to fit your fingers in to add all the little details. Then the refrigerator can be built into the outside wall of the deli, and the ATM machine can be fitted to the inside wall. I still think that in most European countries these would be the other way round, with the fridge being on the inside of the shop and the ATM being built into the outside wall. But for now, we'll build it as we've designed it. Now we're ready to fit the windows and the corner door. I find that stocking the shelves is a good opportunity to use parts in bright colours that I might not be able to use elsewhere, and to use up the odd parts in my parts bin. So now we've finished the windows, the door and the interior of the little corner deli. The canopy for the deli is built in the same way as on the original set, but it continues further around the corner. I haven't got a suitable sticker for this additional part, but I did find a printed yellow tile with some arrows, which I think goes okay and points the way to the entrance. We'll add the signage above the deli when we build the next floor of the building. that's the deli almost finished. But I think we do need a shopkeeper, so I found this minifigure, which I think is perfectly okay to represent the person ready to serve you in the deli. Next, we'll build the little shop that's also on the ground floor next to the deli, and the entrance and stairs to the apartment that goes up between the two shops. As before, we'll start with the first few layers of the walls, but before they get too high, we'll also start fitting the internal fixtures and fittings for the shop. And as this is going to be a record store, that includes the racks for browsing the current stock of records. I've used a variety of 1x1 printed tiles to represent the records on the racks, and this should give an indication of the variety of stock available in the record shop when viewed from outside. We continue to build up the walls of the shop, and here I've used some 2x2 decorated tiles as posters to decorate the interior of the shop, and some of them you'll see are Beat Bit album covers to give a kind of music theme to the decorations on the walls. The staircase continues to climb up between the shop and the deli, but here it needs to turn a corner and it will come up kind of inside the shop to reach the level required to access the apartment on the first floor. Now we can add the front door for the apartment and the door and window for the shop. Originally these were going to be black, but I thought that might look a bit heavy, especially next to the black of the deli, and I found these ones in this magenta colour, which I thought would be a bit brighter and would add a bit of colour to the front of the shop. And also, as you'll see in a minute, they'll match the signage above the shop front. So once we finish building the walls, we can add the signage above the shop front, and that's in the same magenta colour now as the door and window frames, and it includes a printed tile with the name of the shop, Andrea, and the rather nice round tile featuring a vinyl record in gold and the same magenta colour. So that's the build of the little shop nearly finished. However, this shop, like the deli, really needs a shopkeeper. I was lucky to come across this minifigure, which is actually listed as a music shop proprietor, but I thought he would be perfect to work in this record store. He doesn't have to be Andrea. Maybe that's just the name of the person who owns the shop. We can place him in the shop, maybe somewhere here, where he can be sorting out the display of records. Now the only thing remaining is to add the tiling separation layer along the top of the walls of both the deli and the shop. That will allow the next floor of the building to be easily removed, but there are also just a few studs to help locate and hold the first floor in position. Now we've finished building the walls, we can add the finishing touches for this level of the build. These include the downpipe, made up of 3 pieces of bar and an open stud. That just clips on the outside of the deli. Then there's the ATM sign, also on the outside of the deli. and the lamp posts that are placed on the pavement or sidewalk. So that's the build of the ground floor of this MOC complete. Well, I'm trying to show you all the details of this build, but this is taking a bit longer than I'd hoped, so I'm going to take a short break here and go for a cup of tea. I'll be back soon to continue the build with the first floor and the second floor of the apartment, and of course the roof and the roof terrace. So don't forget to hit that like button to let YouTube know that you liked the video, and subscribe to the channel for more updates. I'll be back soon with the next video in which we'll finish off the build of this new MOC. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you back here very shortly.